And we're live. Thank you for joining me so very early this morning. My name is Kwame. This is Race Fist Media. Just wanted to do a quick video and chat with you guys really quick about something I see going around on the internet right now. It is a Friday morning, and surprise, surprise, the internet is angry. Just wanted to talk to you about something I've been seeing going around about this new Netflix movies, Cuties, and some outrage coming up about it. To give you guys some context, I'll just start with what I initially saw going around online. So this is a picture of a Netflix customer service chat. And I'm just going to go ahead and read it to you really quick. It says, "How does a movie sexualizing children get approved? Who signed off on this?" That's what this lady, based on the next text, called Mary said. Netflix responds, "We understand that not all stories may appeal to all our viewers, which is why we always invest in a diverse range of content from all over the world. We also provide ratings, synopsis, trailers, and controls to help our members make the right viewing choices for themselves and their families." Mary, "Do you support pedophilia? A simple yes or no will suffice." Netflix, "We cannot really comment on that, but while we believe in creative freedom at Netflix, we respect all religions and their cultures, traditions, and values." So, kind of a non-answer from Netflix right there, which is odd and troubling. Why can you not take a strong stance on that, Netflix? Let's take a look at what exactly sparked all this, though. I'll pull up here the petition. "I want Netflix to remove the new movie Cuties as it promotes child pornography," which is a big no-no. I've got a lot of questions. It's getting a bunch of signatures already. That is the Netflix cover in question. Definitely some younger girls appearing in some maybe provocative positions. And I can see why people are upset. It's, they're saying that this promotes child abuse and sex trafficking. Let's take a look. I have another pretty good take here from Twitter, someone else that called it out. And wait a minute. Netflix has a movie called Cuties about 11-year-olds in a twerking dance group. Some of the reviews claim it's a commentary on the sexualization of children, but this is the poster. And keep in mind that the lead actress is actually 11 years old in the film and in real life. Matt Walsh. Wait, Matt Walsh? The Matt Walsh? All right, so if you're wondering why I'm taking you down this way, obviously ignoring context and whatnot, that's a key thing here. I'm just taking down the journey of how it looks when you just jump on it without context and you look at it from just what we've seen so far. That's where I came from, but something did seem amiss because I hadn't heard anything about this, and I figured it would be a bigger deal. And then I see Matt Walsh talking about it. For those of you who do not know, Matt Walsh is a right-wing jackass, no real good way to put it, who often fuels the outrage machine. He likes to spark up a lot of faux outrage and controversies, as I like to call them. He is a guy who has been say his name for Cannon, the young white boy who was sadly murdered. He was one of the people using that as a false equivalency against Black Lives Matter, even though, the media has been talking about that story. He's one of the people who's who spoke out against who sided with the father, I believe, who did not want the young trans girl to transition, even though that was the girl's wishes, and took the mother to court because the mother supported the young child, which is the right and scientifically proven healthy thing to do, win that case. He was against that. He's very transphobic, very takes a lot of bigoted, bad positions. So the second I saw him pop up in an article calling out this movie, it immediately gave me pause, because I'm a firm believer that if I look around and the only other voices parroting an opinion I have are people like Matt Walsh or other terrible people like that, I take a step back and I like to reanalyze the situation and reevaluate my stance on it. So let's dig a little bit deeper and see what else we can see about Cuties, because it's looking like a lot of this is actually stemming from the cover in the US, misrepresenting what the movie is about, which in a way it kind of represents what it's about, but it kind of misrepresents it. So this is the cover from the UK. 11-year-old Amy starts to rebel against her conservative family's traditions when she becomes fascinated with a free-spirited dance crew. Way different, as you can see. It does not seem to show exactly what the Netflix one was, or in a similar way. Much less sexualized. Probably a good thing, because then people can get past the BS of what the cover looks like in this controversy to the actual content of this movie. Again, we'll go a little bit deeper to show a comparison between what it premiered at Sundance and the cover that they had over there versus how it's being shown on Netflix. As you can see, this was an official Sundance selection. This movie has has been getting a lot of praise from critics, critical acclaim, lots of good reviews, winning awards, because the movie, surprise, surprise, actually is a critique on the sexualization of young girls and the pressures that they give into, the things they imitate, and things that would push them into these places where they could be sexualized. It's a whole ass critique on these things. But you guys missed the mark so much because you just instantly fed into the outrage machine. And that's just a US thing. In the foreign countries, in the UK, people are appreciating it for what it is, sparking a conversation that desperately needs to be had in a world of toddlers and tiaras and dance moms and all of that. A question that desperately needs to be had. This is a combination of two things that I see quite often. It's the US sensationalization versus elsewhere. Something that I've often said, if you look at shows involving Chef Ramsay's even, watching Kitchen Nightmares, the UK version versus the US version, it's very clear the US likes to heighten the drama and the swear words and him flipping out on people, versus the UK version, which, that the swears happen, but he helps them and he's more compassionate. We tend to like the drama, so we tend to show things more dramatic or dramatized, and that seems to be the case here, because we've now jumped to a conclusion based off of a Netflix video cover, without any context of what the story is. We just assume that this is some creepy Roman Polanski-esque director using this movie to get his rocks off and further sexualize children. Speaking of which, let's take a look at the director, this cruel, cruel director who's doing this hyper-sexualized... Oh, is that a black woman? That looks like a black woman. I'm pretty sure that's a black woman. Now, not to say that black people can't have internalized anti-blackness, or women can't hold internalized misogyny, or in self-hatred, or push anti-woman behaviors, but this seems a little suspect. So we now have Matt Walsh against this movie, a black female director who made this movie. A lot's not adding up here. So let's go one more time and just give the final bit of context before I take this home. Because like I said, I wanted this to be a quick video. I didn't want to take up too much of y'all's time. This is actually about the director. She penned the script for her debut feature film, Cuties, in early 2017, taking her life experience as a refugee girl into account. The script eventually won the Sundance Global Filmmaking Award in 2017. The film is based on a traditional Senegalese Muslim girl who's caught and torn between contrasting fortunes, traditional values, and internet culture, while also speaking about hypersexualization of pre-adolescent girls. It premiered in the World Cinema Dramatic Competition sector of 2020 Sundance Film Festival on the 23rd of January 2020 and won the Directing Jury Award praising the script of the film. So this movie is getting praised by everyone who's seen it about the critique it makes and the conversation it sparks. And yet again, I implore you guys to please look at context. Please, let's not get wrapped up in the outrage machine that we see so often, because it makes us go off half-cocked like this and just denounce shit that doesn't need to be denounced. This movie I'm going to watch this movie. I haven't seen it yet, but I promise I'm going to watch it because it looks like it's going to have something important to say. And we need to do better about understanding context. I have seen some people say in the comment section with the gentleman who online that I forgot to clip the comment, but I also don't want to out this person who, called this out and said, initially pointed out the outrage of this, and then eventually kind of relinquished, but still said, I don't quite feel comfortable with them doing this with young girls. Maybe they could have got an older girl, et cetera, et cetera. I have a couple things to say about this. One, film is art. Art is supposed to be challenging some of the time. This is how we get through to people. Sometimes you have to shock people awake. There are cases where there are shock for shock value, literal exploitation. We do have to be wary of that. This does not seem to be that. A lot of the time, we do have to make challenging film, and we have to see challenging film to really make us question these things, to get us out of our comfort zone. I saw someone compare this to The Purge and say, oh, this is just like how they said Purge was a critique on violence, and it was just violence for violence sake, which, as a horror fan, and Purge defender, if you've seen those movies, that's not at all what those movies are about. Those movies aren't just torture porn. They have a lot to say about class, about the government, about the media, about how we treat poor places versus richer places. There's a lot of critique there. To just say the Purge movies are just violence for violence sake is really missing the mark and kind of ignoring a lot of the commentary there. Which, if you're a conservative, I could see how maybe you do that. Like if you were Matt Walsh, who, funny enough, was the person who made this bad false equivalency, bad argument using The Purge. To speak to the second point about why did they have to use actual children, again, it's art. We have to sometimes tell troubling stories and make it real. Schindler's List really worked, at least for me. That iconic scene with the girl in the red coat, the red jacket. That being a child made that more impacting than if that had been an adult or an older teen playing a young girl. It made it hurt. It made it hit real. And sometimes we do need that shock. What's actually important is making sure that directors and film companies aren't exploiting young actors and actresses. That's what you should be caring about. Making sure that we have counselors on hand and we're taking the necessary precautions to make sure that this isn't a traumatic experience. Something that I hope to do a video on later, when we look at people like Linda Blair and what she went through in the filming of The Exorcist famously, or what the woman went through in the filming of The Shining or Psycho, and a lot of these movies where directors really kind of tortured these their female or child actors to get effects, and making sure we're not doing that. We're not endangering their lives, making sure that we're getting coaches for scenes that involve any type of sexual contact or physical contact to make sure people are trained in how to properly do it and not make it uncomfortable or not have situations where someone feels violated in a scene. These are the important things we need to do if we're trying to protect actors and actresses, especially young ones. Not get these kind of movies taken down. And we do need these kind of movies. I heard someone say that maybe this is challenging, maybe we didn't need this. We need this. We need challenging film like this. We need to have these difficult conversations. And I'll leave you with this really quick. It's important that we watch these kinds of films, because at the end of the day, we can turn it off. When it gets too harsh, when it gets too painful, we can turn it off. The people who live these experiences cannot turn them off. They deserve to have their voices heard. That is why people make these kinds of films. That is why we watch these kinds of films. They deserve to have their voices heard, even if it's difficult. And if it's too much for you, I will not ridicule you. Some things are triggering. If you can at all put yourself in the mental headspace, or you're having a good day where you can take that challenge and you've got the spoons for it, do so. If you cannot, I will not fault you for it. But do not stop these conversations from happening. Do not try and get things like this taken off air, especially with zero context, because this is a director, a young Black female director, telling her story, or a version of her story, in an important way that needs to be heard. These are conversations we need to have them. Look at context. Don't just jump in half-cocked and just go off, or let the outrage machine fuel you. This is how us, especially on the left, fall into these traps quite often. This is how we turn on our own. This is how we shut down conversations that need to be had, because these conversations do have to be had. And this is part of moving forward the conversation on the sexualization of children, and the type of things that maybe can help eventually. Movies like this aren't hidden child pedophilia. This isn't stop your QAnon stuff. When you do QAnon nonsense like that, you are harming the real cause. When you spread fake stories of being of rich white children being taken from rich neighborhoods at the supermarket, you're harming the real cause of immigrants who get sold into sex trafficking, of people who are detained by ICE and lost into the system, of the people it affects the most, the real cases, real labor and trafficking victims. We need to do better. And again, hopefully this is a video I can do later for y'all. I don't want to run too long. I've already gone a little bit longer than I anticipated, but thank you for joining me. And that was just the point that I had to make. Challenge yourself. If you see the movie Cuties come out, go watch it. Support Black filmmakers, whether they're American or not. Support independent film. We got to do better, y'all. Don't believe the bullshit. Think for yourselves. Read a little bit more into things. And thank you for, again, checking the video out. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that little bell below. Make sure that you check out our videos when you can, and make sure that you pop in and check out some of our other videos. This cannot happen without you, so I really appreciate you guys giving me your time. And if you can at all, right below here, go to the Patreon, patreon.com/RaisefistMedia. Throw me $1 or $2 because this is a passion. We do want to keep growing this out. We want to grow this with you, and we want to keep doing this for you. Thanks again, and we'll catch y'all next time.